Do you have anything more to add on before we move on to the number 3 guy?
Not really. I do think that, his ceiling is higher than D2, to be fair. I just wanted to throw that in there. And, I can't wait to see him probably tear it up and dominate like we've seen other Ralston Valley athletes do on the D2 level, who maybe got a little overlooked.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, he's definitely D1. That's why he's going to be such a good D2 player. He's definitely somebody who could have went D1. Yeah, that's fair to say and add on there. But yeah, let's move this thing, keep this thing going here and move on here and talk about our number 3 quarterback here in the class of 2024. And this might come as a surprise, but our number 3 quarterback is Widefield's Paul Mitchell, the 6'3", 210-pound quarterback. Let's talk about him. I already know there's someone out there that already tuned out, but I don't care. Let's go ahead and talk to the real ones here. So, gave him an 8.7 here in pocket awareness, 8.6 in frame/size, good frame at 6'3", 210, and then 8.6 in arm power. I'll also just talk about the other grades. 8.5 in pocket movement, 8.5 in timing on throws, 8.4 in accuracy, and 8.2 in decision making. Those were his higher grades there. Look, Paul Mitchell, this was a kid that I was able to find a lot of offseason film back before his junior year, and I had a feeling that he'd be good. I liked what I saw when he was not in pads and he was just throwing and whatnot. It looked like he had a good arm. He was throwing in time, a very accurate thrower as well. I was definitely concerned, though, about him going to Widefield, who hasn't, been historically like a great program, at least in recent years, before Paul Mitchell. Like, they'd win like 4 or 5 games at most. And that was considered a pretty good season. And then I saw this young quarterback going into that system, and I was like, he could either really change things or he could put up great numbers and still get crushed, right? It's either one or the other, but I was very confident in his ability to play good football, and it showed these last 2 years. I'm pretty sure they've won their league both times. Or no, sorry, Centaurus won last year, but they're, close second last season, first to his junior year, near the top of that I-25 league, which is a considerably weaker league by a lot of people's standards, but still playing quarterback at a high level doesn't really change too much, though. And he did that. He played quarterback at a high level despite never having a 1,000-yard receiver. And I don't think he's ever even had a receiver hit 800 yards. He spread the ball out pretty well over there. And so with his game, he has a good arm, goes with accuracy, goes with good timing. Something I really like is how he maneuvers in the pocket. It's not like the weakest line, at least comparatively when looking at a lot of league play stuff and other teams they've played out of league as well. It's about 50-50. Sometimes they'll allow a lot of pressure and sometimes it's a clean pocket. So I think, in my opinion, it's like the perfect situation to really see, all right, is he going to climb this pocket? Is he going to, be efficient here? And I think for the most part he does. Very efficient movements in the pocket, and he delivers really good strikes. One of my favorite plays on his reel and on his film is where, the entire pocket around him collapses and it's more going towards the outside. A lot of guys coming off that edge, and he just steps up beautifully, has the awareness to know, hey, the line of scrimmage is right here. So he steps up pretty much right up to the line of scrimmage and delivers a beautiful pass down the field for a big time touchdown. And that's something you love to see. First off, having the patience to let the play develop, not get rid of it too quick, and then step up, deliver a great throw downfield and finish that play. That was as ideal a play as you could want to see out of a high school quarterback. Just a very efficient, calm, cool under pressure, and just delivering it, right? And so Paul Mitchell is definitely somebody that I've really loved watching these last couple years. I got to watch him in a very exciting rare shootout against Air Academy in his junior year, and that was a game where he played very within himself. He obviously made some big plays and whatnot throughout the game, but that was a game where they quickly found out, hey, we could run the ball, and so they ran the ball, and Paul did his job. He also ran the ball really well against them too, while making some really good throws that kept the defense for Air Academy pretty honest there, and gave Widefield a very good advantage. And so there you go there. Like I said, very familiar with Paul Mitchell's game. But Cody, I want to ask what you think about my evaluation and what you think about Paul Mitchell here.
Yeah, so with Paul here, at first I was a little skeptical because of the fact that, it is wide field and whatnot. But I will admit that that uneasiness kind of went away pretty quickly. I do recall, and Simon, we kind of talked about this before the recording a little bit, but over the summer last year, we got to see this big 7v7 invite that was hosted at Mullen High School. Shout out the guys at TFG for getting us the invite and the passes to go watch all that. And actually, Paul Mitchell was the quarterback for a 7-1-9 squad that did win a few games in that pool play and played pretty well. And Paul looked pretty good. He always found the open guy. I felt like he looked very sound and comfortable playing, and he just looked really clean and polished, honestly. And I think that that's what jumped off on his film here is just like, wow, this guy looks like a next level starting quarterback, honestly. And so when looking at, some of the things that he did well, I think that he just goes through reads pretty well. I had his decision making at an 8.1. You had it at an 8.2. Both pretty solid here. I liked his arm power. I liked the velocity on throws that he had over the middle. And I also think that as far as awareness goes in the pocket, I actually feel like he had like the best pocket awareness in this class. I feel like he felt pressure, and maybe it's because he was constantly exposed to just pressure all the time more than these other guys. But I feel like he sensed pressure pretty well, and he did a good job at getting the ball out when he needed to, I also think that his ball placement's pretty good. I had his arm accuracy at an 8.2 here. And yeah, I just think that between all of that and then his mechanics, honestly, I actually was a pretty big fan of his mechanics. I think that his windup is pretty quick. I think that his delivery is pretty fast. I think that his drop back is pretty clean. Now, I think that you lose some of that when he gets into other aspects of his game, but I just think from a straight line quarterback standpoint, he's very solid. Look, arm power 8.4, 8.2 accuracy, 8.2 timing. The timing could use a little bit of improvement, but I'm being a little nitpicky on that. Overall mechanics 8.4, decision making 8.1, and then his pocket awareness at an 8.8, along with that 6'3", 210-pound frame. That's pretty close to being ready to go on the next level, honestly. And so you got to be happy with all of those. I'd say that my big qualms, and Simon, I think that we're in the same boat here, is, he's a pretty good athlete with a solid frame. I kind of like the fact that he's able to kind of lower his shoulder when he scrambles a little bit, but his scrambling and throw on the run are definitely his worst aspects here at a 7.6 and a 7.8 respectively. And then his pocket movement I have at a 7.9. I think that he maneuvers it pretty well because of his awareness, but I think that his footwork and the way that he slides and stuff like that, maybe not the best. So all of that added up, that's an 82.1. You were at an 81. That puts him at an 81.55 here. And someone who, honestly, at his frame and with all the sports that he plays, he kind of has a lot of options. But, being football guys, I feel like we obviously want to see him play football on the next level. Is that a mistake?
I mean, yeah, I'd love to see him play football. First off, I will agree with a lot of what you had to say there. Gave him a 7 for scramble ability and a 7 for throw on the run. Throwing on the run, it's not like he's going to roll out and then just throw a 50-yard bomb. You see a lot of short and medium stuff, which is fine, so that's kind of why it's a little bit lower. And then as far as scramble ability goes, he has great acceleration. I will say that. The first 10 yards of every Paul Mitchell scramble looks like he's about to take it to the house. And then he gets caught. He gets caught from behind or something happens there. And so still though, I think that's worth noting because there's not going to be many times on the next level where you're just going to have a wide open space. A lot of the time, yeah, it's going to be you scanning the pocket. It's going to be some sort of man coverage, and then there's going to be a wide open opening right up the middle for a couple yards here. And so I like that he can go and get, a good 10 or 15 yards. Go get a first down, right? Which is all you need. He's not going to go score like a crazy 80-yard, 100-yard rushing touchdown or something that Blake Barnett, who definitely can do that, can or will do, but, in the red zone, he could run it in a little bit, in short situations. He could definitely be a little bit of a threat there, but nothing too crazy. But still, though, a 7. Like I said, great acceleration. But yeah, I mean, he's a multi-sport athlete over at Widefield, like a lot of their athletes are. And I do hope he gets an opportunity to go play football on the next level. Cody, were you able to find any offers? I feel like I haven't heard about anything crazy here.
I did not find any offers.
Yeah. He's a sleeper.
He seems pretty invested into baseball, I will say.
Yes. Oh, baseball.
Which I know is
my favorite
Simon's
sport.
Arch nemesis. But I mean, I was looking at his averages, and he's got a pretty mean swing, and he gets contact with the ball a lot. So we might lose him to the baseball system here. But I mean, either way, he's going to have to go to the next level. And there's schools like at NAIA that could look at offering him a little bit of both and get him a nice little package there. And I think that would be a sweet deal on the school's part, and I think it'd be a sweet deal for Paul. As far as, if he doesn't want to make a stamp your foot in the ground decision, especially with the competitiveness of, baseball recruiting and of football recruiting there, if you can find a sweet middle, I feel like if I had to guess an outcome, that's probably the one that I would guess, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, I think that he has the potential to be a higher graded prospect than that if he were to choose to specialize in one or the other, but maybe as a financial deal maker here, I think that would be an awesome opportunity for him. And, a good way to not have to pay for school.
Can't believe Cody Stauffer is now Paul Mitchell's financial advisor / agent. That's not true. Just, making sure that's clear. But look, I like the kid. He's brought a lot of great memories to that Widefield community. And just, he's a great quarterback. Like, I really enjoyed watching him these last couple years. I would love to watch him continue to play quarterback. But, I think long-term wise, hey, man, go get your school paid for. Get all of it paid for. You don't have to settle for any half scholarships, If I were him, I would hopefully look for some situations where, he just gets his school paid for, whether it's going all in baseball or, having a little bit of a, doing half and half, because I think D2s you could also be offered 2 half rides, right? And that'll equate a full ride, not just NAIA, but, would love to see that. I think there's more, opportunities on the NAIA level, by the way, to do that. But, still, you could go D2 and do that as well. And, I'm rooting for him. I think he's a great athlete, one of the best that the Springs has seen ever. And I'm glad he was able to make this list so that everyone could appreciate how good of an athlete and how good of a quarterback he was for Widefield, who, has been overlooked. So, there you go there. But yeah, Paul Mitchell, our number 3 quarterback here in the class of 2024. Love his game. Super underrated. And by the way, one of the 7-on-7 teams he did beat was Team Full Gorilla. Wasn't that right, Cody? I don't think you actually said who he beat. You just said he beat a couple of teams there.
Yeah, I felt some kind of way about saying that we got invited there and then mentioning that they lost. But I mean,
that's part of the game, though.
It's all love.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
But yeah, Paul Mitchell looked good, and I think that his opportunities on the next level are going to be exciting to keep track of.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now, this next guy, our number 2 class